So the first thing to think about with falls is balance. That makes sense. So there's 3 different parts of your body that control your ability to maintain your balance. And the most obvious one to most people is your eyes and your vision. Your ability to see keeps you up on your feet. So some handy tips to make your vision work for you are, number 1, if you have glasses, you should definitely wear them. They don't do you any good if they're on the table. And number 2, you want to have good lights throughout your home. Most people's rooms are lit well, but you also have to think about places like the hallways in your house and the stairways and outside to get into your front door and in the vestibule. Everything needs to be lit well so that you can see where you're going and you're not tripping on anything. Other pieces to keeping your light good are to remember if your light bulbs burn out, they need to be changed quickly, so you don't have a place of darkness in your house. Also, if you find that your lights are casting glares around, to try to put lamp shades up where you can to keep that down. By the way, all these tips are in a brochure in the back, so you don't feel like you have to write them all down. Okay. The other thing about lamps to be very careful about is most of them have cords to plug into the wall to get your power. So just make sure that your cords are pushed out of the way so that you're not tripping on them as you're walking around. Also, just in case of an emergency, you want to know where your flashlights are in your house if the power ever goes out so that you're not wandering around and looking for them in the dark. You don't want to be wandering around any longer than you have to be. So keeping your flashlight somewhere with batteries in them where you know where they are and they're the same place every time is helpful. The second part of your body that controls your balance is your ears. So if your inner ear is messed up or infected, or there's all sorts of problems that can go wrong, it can cause dizziness and it can cause vertigo. Vertigo is when the room spins around in circles around you. So if those things are a problem for you, you need to go see your doctor and get that checked out. There's other reasons why you can be dizzy besides inner ear problems, like for example, blood pressure problems can also make you dizzy. But whatever the cause is, being dizzy isn't normal. It's not a normal part of aging, so it really should be evaluated by your primary doctor. And then the third part is, like Deborah was talking about before, keeping strong, especially in your legs. Having nice strong legs to move around, but also having your joints being healthy, and there's balance receptors in your joints that help you know where your body is in space. Like for example, when you go to walk up your steps, you don't have to look at every single step to know where they are. Your body just knows because you've done it so many times. So having good, strong legs and good, healthy joints in your hips, knees, and ankles really helps you. And then some other things besides your body that affect your balance are, number 1, medications. A lot of medications can have dizziness or imbalance as a side effect. So if you're not sure if that's a situation for you, if you talk to your doctor or your pharmacist, they can check that and make sure that if there's an alternative medicine that's not a side effect, that you could do that instead. If you have problems with walking, if you need to use a cane or a walker, you really should use it, whether you like to or not. I know people don't like to use it because it doesn't look attractive to walk around with a cane. But if it keeps you mobile and it keeps you out in your community and doing all the things that Cindy was talking about with the social events and being engaged, it's better to be out there with a cane than it is to be sitting in your house without one. Also, other diseases, they can affect your balance too. So if you have any sort of problem with your brain, like a dementia or something like that, they can affect your ability to concentrate or your ability to pay attention. That can make you more likely to trip. Also, if you have a disease like diabetes or HIV/AIDS, they can cause what's called a neuropathy, and what that means is that in your legs, you either lose your sensation or you get funny sensations. So some people get like burning or tingling in their feet, or their legs are just numb. And that can also, if you can't feel the ground, it makes it a lot more likely that you'll trip on something. And then just general weakness, like we've talked about so many times today. General weakness can set you up for a whole host of troubles. In general, for falling, if you've fallen more than 2 times in the last 6 months, you're considered a frequent faller. And that you need to take a trip to your doctor and try to figure out why you're falling down. So the easiest way to do that is to try to keep a journal of when you fell, what you were doing, and where you were, because that can help your doctor try to figure out a pattern to your falls. Let's see. And then there's also a huge problem where people become afraid that they're going to fall. Whether they have or they haven't, they develop this fear. And the fear can really be a problem because it's one of those things that'll keep you back in your house and it'll keep you from doing the things you would normally do in your life. And while, like Cynthia was saying, all the social engagement issues come up, also, if you're used to being up and about and active and suddenly you're not anymore because you're afraid, you're going to get weak. And you're going to get what's called deconditioned, which means that the endurance that Deborah was talking about is going to decrease. And then suddenly you're not just afraid of falling, but now you are afraid of falling and you can't really go anywhere because you're not strong enough to do it. So now I have some just helpful hints for different places in your house of things you can do to make yourself less likely to fall. And we'll start in the bathroom. The first thing to think about is your toilet. If it's too low for you, they make different kinds of raised seats. Some are just like a thick padding to make it higher. Some are like a stand that you can put over top of the toilet with a new seat that's higher, and they have armrests on them too. So if you need your hands to get up, that can be helpful. Another thing to think about is having a chair in the shower. They make all sorts of special, ones that will fit in a shower or a tub in all sorts of varieties. You're going to want to have a mat in the tub so that you don't slip, and you're going to want to be careful of wet spots on the floor. When you're getting out of the shower, if you slip on a puddle, that's not a good thing. You think maybe when you're drying off and getting dressed, if there's a place you can sit down rather than stand up, that's a little bit safer. And then you want to have, when you can, you want to have real grab bars in your bathroom. You don't want to be pulling on the soap dish and the towel rack and all those things that aren't meant to support your whole weight. They're meant to support a little bit of weight, and people tug on them and then they break, and then that's bad news. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the stairways. Like I said before, you want to make sure that they're bright enough for you that you can see where you're going. You want to make sure there is a railing available and that it's bolted into the wall enough that it's not going to, yank out if you pull on it. You want to have a clear pathway to walk, so you don't want baskets of stuff on your stairs to get in your way. If there are rugs on your stairs, you want to make sure the edges are all down, so you're not going to catch your toe under the edge of a rug. If it's available to you, some people really like those, they're like chairs that go up and down. You have to get them installed into your house, so not every house can support it. They're called stair glides, and it's just an electric, like a mechanical chair. You sit on it and it'll take you up and down. Also, what some people like to do is really think about what you're going to do each day and plan out your day so that you are not running up and down stairs all the time. If you are going to go upstairs, think of 2 or 3 things that you can do up there before you come back down, so you don't have to go up and down excessively. So now general flooring tips. Throw rugs are not great, neither are runners. They have loose edges that people trip on all the time, so they're not a particularly safe option if you have them. You want to make sure that, like I said, on the stairs, any carpets that you have, the edges are tacked down to the floor, and that any tears in the carpet, or if you have cracked tiles or broken wood or anything like that, that everything is fixed so you don't have loose edges anywhere. And then you want the least amount of stuff possible on the floor. So clutter should be up and off the floor. You want nice clear pathways among the places that you walk frequently. And moving on to the kitchen, the most important thing is that the things you use the most often should be within easy reach for you. So whether that means that you keep things out on the counter or you keep things in conveniently located drawers or whatever you need to do. But you want to try to avoid using step stools as much as possible. And you definitely want to avoid standing up on your kitchen chair to try to get things up out of the highest cabinets, because that is just asking to fall. If you need something that's up high, they make things called grabbers. They're basically a long pole with a claw at the end, and they have like a hand thing that you squeeze and the claw opens and closes. So you can reach higher things if you needed something like that. Also, things like carts on wheels are really good if you need to move stuff around in the kitchen.